Everybody understands about the mud flood, right? Correct, correct. So the question is, all this mud flood in the whole world, where all this dirt came from? Like in the case of the city of Sardis in today's Turkey, a country that nobody speaks about. Sardis city, according to official history, was founded somewhere around 1220 BC, very accurate, year before Christ, and then the city was abandoned all of a sudden in the interesting time frame of the 15th century, so 1402 Anno Domini after Christ. Question is, where did all the 20 feet of dirt come from, which covers the whole city, and all these huge megalithic stones that were created by primitive human beings 2,000 years ago, more than 3,000 years ago, fell from the sky, arrived by land, came from the ether just like that, or was created artificially due to a cataclysm or something? In general, why do you always have to dig stuff out? If I want to find hidden forbidden technology or huge megalithic buildings, I have to dig stuff out because it's underneath feet and lots of meters of earth and all that stuff. Again, these pictures, which you can find in the archives of the universities in the States and other places, they show pretty much a very interesting concept of how something which I cannot understand, because according to mainframe history and all we study at school and university, it's an insult to my human intelligence. Why? Because first of all, how is it possible, after you see all these huge, tremendous, gigantic, titanic, giant buildings, according to modern estimates, based on historical accounts, each one of these columns consisted of a single piece of marble, not more pieces, of over 60 feet long every single piece, and weighing close to 100 tons. 100 tons is 100,000 kilograms. Exactly how these columns were erected vertically isn't clear. I mean, I know how they were erected vertically because they had technology like we do today. But anyway, that would change all of history of humanity, because you know, these temples, which according to the main history, how historians, they teach history in school, they were created to honor gods and goddesses, because that's how the ancient world was working, and they used slaves, blah blah blah. When in all fact, probably they were temple factories with genetic engineering and labs that were creating humans, clones, and DNA and chimeras and all that stuff. Maybe the reset with the mud flood and the floods and all that stuff was to reset humanity, because the whole DNA was corrupted and a new experiment started afterwards. So again, with the city of Sardis, which again was abandoned in 1402, all of a sudden, according to official history, in the year 17 after Christ, there was an earthquake which destroyed the city, and all of a sudden, in those 1,400 years, nobody speaks about the city until it's abandoned. What if those 1,000 and something years were just purely invented like everything else in our history, recent history? And so therefore the city was not abandoned in 1402, but was abandoned in the year 17 or something like that, when the earthquake happened. And also the fact that you see archaeologists with guns looking for cultural stuff at the temple. I do not believe for a second that they cared about any cultural heritage. They cared about technology and DNA and the labs, just the same way that they cared about that when they went into the Carpathian Mountains in Romania, and they found all these tunnels with giant technology which were connected with the Tibet and Egypt and Iraq and all that stuff, which was very amazing in 2003. Hopefully you enjoy that, and I'll see you guys in the next video with more interesting stuff in our own humor, because if you don't use humor for these things, then you just get depressed, because you know the world is kind of depressed anyway. So I'll see you guys in the next